Welcome everyone to Fuzz Thoughts. I am Peter, and I'm going to talk about two movies that I watched recently. It's been a little while since I did one of these Fuzz Thoughts, mainly because I've not been watching extra movies outside of the ones that I do for the shows. I've been playing a lot of video games, so there tends to be dry spells when I'm in a gaming mood. Maybe I could do Fuzz Thoughts on games that I've been playing. If that's of interest, let me know in the comments. But I got two movies to talk about that I watched in the past couple of weeks. It's a Zendaya double. So we'll start off with Spider-Man Brand New Day, it's been a couple of weeks now, but the newest Marvel movie. This is interesting because it's the first time I've seen a Marvel movie in the cinema since, I think, the last Spider-Man movie. I saw a few of the Marvel movies after that at home, but Doctor Strange 2 and Thor Love and Thunder were so goddamn dull and boring to me that I just kind of quit watching them at that point. I did see Thunderbolts because I was so enthusiastic about Superman. I was in a good mood. I wanted to watch another comic book movie that was worth seeing, and it was just okay. It was fine. I get why people like it, but it didn't exactly ignite a fire in me or anything like that. And I wasn't even sure I was going to go see this one. I was kind of on the fence, although I have seen every Spider-Man movie since 2002 in the cinema, so it's kind of a shame to stop that streak. And I am inherently a little bit more interested in Spider-Man than I am a lot of the rest of Marvel's kind of lineup of characters. Spider-Man and X-Men obviously tend to be the most popular for a reason, and it was getting good reviews. It was getting good buzz, so that was another reason to maybe go check it out. And also because I suspected there was going to be spoilers circulating if I waited till it came home, so I thought I'll just go and see it. And I guess I was just in the mood to go to the movies as well, so I went to see the film, and It's good. It's a good movie. It's a little overstuffed. There's definitely a couple of like connected universe things that I don't think need to be in there. Like as much as I like seeing Florence Pugh, for example, I think her cameo is just and that's not a spoiler. It's like a very early just thing, but like there's just stuff like that where like this could just feel a bit tighter if we didn't feel the need to do that. But I think the core character drama is good. I think some of the stuff that it sets up for the future is interesting. I guess the thing that I was pleasantly surprised by was how much I enjoyed the inclusion of Punisher, because I'm not really a Punisher person, and like again, like it could have just felt like here's another MCU kind of extended cameo, but no, he's an actual supporting character in the movie. He has actually a relationship with Spider-Man that develops and changes by the end, so there's a real story there that's worth something. But what I liked about this is one, the characters, which have always been good, to be fair. Like, even in the last two Spider-Man movies, which I don't think have aged particularly well, like the more time removes from them, the less I like the plots of those movies, and realizing just how much the chemistry of the core characters and the actors really were carrying a lot of that stuff. I liked Homecoming a lot though at the time, but you know, I think this movie does have a more interesting character arc, which doesn't feel like it's just the neatest thing ever for the sake of tying up in a bow at the end. It feels a little bit more complex than that, which is nice. There's some themes there which are good. But I like that this is the first one of these Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland where it feels like the idea of the city loving Spider-Man's like more of a thing. It feels like, hey, that heart of like all the New Yorkers standing up for Spider-Man, there's a little bit of that there, which is nice. I appreciate that. Like I say, the characters are good, and obviously because the way the last one ended, where everyone forgot who Peter Parker was, we have the drama of him being kind of lonely and not even wanting to form new relationships, and kind of the pain of like seeing his friends and the love of his life kind of moved on without him, and so on. And the way they sort of tease that and try and play with that, there is a scene actually, kind of about a third of the way to the movie, where I was rolling my eyes a little bit because I thought, oh, this is like really easy the way they're handling this part. And then it clicked, and it wasn't too long before they revealed it, but it clicked that something else was going on that wasn't what it seemed to be. And I thought that actually ended up making it a great scene, because it was like, oh, this is actually a very devious thing that the villain of this movie's doing. And that's the thing about this movie, is that at least from all the trailers, they were being very, very, very secretive and coy about who the threat is, right? You can see the hand, the ninjas in the trailer. You can see some other hints of like other villains that pop up for a scene or two. But the actual big bad, the one that's going to be the main threat of the movie, was being very secretive. Now, admittedly, there was some casting for this movie that seemed like a big deal, and they would never tell you who they were playing. And like, I think most people just sort of guessed. I bet they're playing this character, and they were, right? I'm being very careful here not to even give away who I'm talking about, but it was the character I thought it was going to be the entire time. And it does mean that we're leaning into some other things in the future, which they've kind of set up via this movie, which is, you know, but that's fine. Like, you know, that's like MCU stuff. And at the very least, it feels like a starting place in a weird way. And I know that sounds strange because obviously it's not a starting place for this Spider-Man, but it feels like the stuff that it's setting up in the world feels like very fresh compared to the rest of the MCU, which just feels like kind of a tired concept at this point where I'm just not that excited about seeing everything else. And like, will I see Avengers Doomsday in the cinema? I do not know at this point, honestly. I can't say I'm that excited about it right now. So yeah, so that's weird. But yeah, the characters or the chemistry's there. You know, which makes sense because like the two leads are like married in real life, so I'd hope the chemistry's there. But I think the other big thing about this is the first one of these movies that's had a different director out of these Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, and this one did feel a bit more like an actual movie in some ways. And I have to admit, it wasn't bothering me too much. Like, I don't remember it feeling like a thing in Homecoming as much, but that was 10 years old at this point. It was more the last one, No Way Home. And admittedly, they said a lot of this was because of COVID, but that movie is absolutely, like, just shit looking, right? Every sequence is them standing against a green screen. Like, places that should not be green screened are just green screened. Like, just standing outside a building, green screened. Standing in, like, a park, green screened. Just constantly. Everything's lit really kind of dull and flat because of that, because they have to light it for the sake of the compositing rather than lighting for a stylized sequence of it, because you want shadows, you want drama, you want to make things look like there's atmosphere. And I don't think this movie is like, the pinnacle of cinema or looks even like halfway as good as like other better looking movies do, but it at least looks like a movie again, as opposed to just nothing but composite and shots that the last movie did, where it just feels like constantly actors are in front of a green screen and that's it. And also, the fight choreography is much better. There's actually a couple of fights in this movie where it feels like it's fun. Like, we're doing actual Spider-Man combat. We're having him jump around and taking on lots of enemies and the webbing. They do some slow motion stuff where it's like, hey, here's this famous cover, because we're slowing down for a second, which, it's not the first movie to do that by any stretch for a comic book thing, but hey, it was nice. Here's the, the Amazing 15 or whatever that first issue is that introduced them. So that's cool. Right, I appreciate that. So yeah, things look better, the action's better, but it's a bit overstuffed. I didn't necessarily need everything. And as much as Spider-Man having a scene with the Hulk is kind of neat in theory, like, did we really need to have like that stuff sort of tied into it? I don't know. I'm a little bit 50-50 on that. But for the most part, fairly pleased. Like, I don't think it's like a great movie by any stretch, but I would definitely say it's good. Like, I'm definitely saying like a 7 or a 7.5. Having said that, there was one thing that I wanted to critique though, and this isn't like a big thing or anything. This is more of a pet peeve of mine than anything really. But so this is not a spoiler to say that, because in the trailers it clearly shows that he develops organic web shooters in this movie, right? So the mechanical ones are out, the organic ones are in, a la Tobey Maguire. And I'm just kind of annoyed by this decision. Not because I inherently hate organic web shooters. Like, I mean, I think if I was to pick, I'd say I prefer the mechanical ones, but I don't really care that much. I'm more just annoyed because they're changing it to the other one, and I feel it just feels so easy to me, or just such a coincidence that he develops organic web shooters and his wrists at the exact same place where he would shoot the mechanical ones from. Like, that's just like such a, like, oh, it's weird that the biology worked out like that it's coming out of the exact same spots. Like, and it's not a big deal, it really isn't, but it feels so just like this is only happening, really, it feels like, because nostalgia for the 2000s movies, maybe. I know it fits into the themes of him like going through a change and the metamorphosis and all that, but you could have done that without the organic web shooters. Really, you can still have that plot of him going through changes and dealing with stuff happening without that. But it's not a deal breaker by any means. But it's the sort of thing where I kind of roll my eyes a little bit, and I'm just gonna, oh, that's like really convenient. They form in the exact same place. Funny that. And it's like anytime they retcon something, it's like, okay, at least if they retcon it, they're saying it was always this way. But it's sometimes you can just sort of feel the duct tape over something of them. Well, it's just the same place. Don't worry about it. I don't know. It bugs me a little bit, but it's a minor quibble, all things considered. The bigger problem really is just it being a little bit overstuffed, and that's kind of it. But those heartfelt moments. I like that there's some human qualities to, like, not every fight is won with a fight, as stupid as that sounds. Like, or not every altercation or conflict is won with a fight or with a punch. Like some are about Spider-Man appealing to someone's character, and I think part of the heart of the character is that. So I appreciate that quite a bit. So it felt like it was veering even truer to Spider-Man in some ways, even though, of course, there's some missing elements now. There's no Aunt May anymore. There's no J. Jonah Jameson anymore. We've got this plot where MJ doesn't even know who he is, and like there's all these things going on, but ultimately I had a fairly good time, and it's I think it's better than the last two Spider-Man movies for sure. I may like Homecoming more. I'd have to go back and watch it again to be sure. I'd have to see how much it holds up if I watch it now, because one of the problems I had with MCU movies is that I found a lot of them don't have a lot of good replay value, which is weird, because if I like a movie, I tend to like rewatching the movie. Maybe let a couple of years pass, but eventually I'll enjoy rewatching it again. I feel like a lot of Marvel movies, and one of the reasons why I got so apathetic towards them is because when I tried rewatching a lot of them, like once we were in maybe like middle of phase 3, towards the end of phase 3, and I tried watching like phase 1 again, I found it really tedious to sit through a lot of them. It did, like, there's a few standouts that I think do hold up, but a lot of them are actually kind of, because it's all just about building and getting the excitement going for the next thing they're building up to. So a lot of them end up being kind of dull on a rewatch. Now, I know not everyone's going to agree with that. That's fine. But that's kind of, I remember, because I quite liked the first Thor movie, for example, when it came out. I remember thinking that was a lot of fun. But when I tried watching that again, like 6-7 years later, I was like, I was checking the phone. I was half paying attention to it. I could not like focus on it and like treat it like a full-fledged movie that I wanted to give my time to, and that was strange. So I'll be very curious to see if I feel that way about Homecoming if I go back and watch it now. I'm hoping I don't. I hope I still like it, because there's a lot of good stuff in there. The other two, I don't know, like Jake Gyllenhaal's villain in the second one is completely forgettable. Didn't really do a whole lot for me. And a lot of the last one was like the nostalgia and the cameos and all that, which is just a little bit hollow for me. But at the core of it, you had the central characters and their relationship kind of being this anchor that tended to be always good. And that was kind of what you got you through them if you weren't into the other stuff. Here it feels like we've stepped up again a little bit in quality. So, hey, we'll see what comes, assuming Sony and Marvel work out their agreements again, because apparently that's up in the air. But no, good time, right? Not an amazing movie, no pun intended, but very, very solid. The other Zendaya movie I watched was The Drama, which came out earlier this year. Her and Robert Pattinson, and that movie was wild. I guess this is another one actually. Funnily enough, like talking about how they were hiding the villain in the Spider-Man trailers. In The Drama, they tell you there's a big thing to find out. Like, they show you the scene where it's like, hey, let's admit the worst thing that we've ever done. And we don't get to hear what Zendaya's character says, but we see the reactions of the other characters all just kind of get awkward and like kind of scared and quiet. And I'm not going to spoil it. I think it would be a disservice to spoil it, because I think it did actually catch me a little off guard. Like, I expected one or two things, and it was something a little bit more specifically unique that got my attention. And I think the movie's very good. It's very provocative. Some people, it was kind of considered controversial, I guess, when it came out. because of some of the topics that it broaches, but I found it darkly hilarious at times, and I appreciate when a movie can bring a dark subject up, but then get humor out of it in a way that feels genuine, and not because it's making light of the thing that it's talking about, but it's sort of stoking the fires of the discomfort that the characters feel. It's really good. It's about this couple who are like about to get married, and this reveal, this secret that's brought up, kind of like throws off of it, throws it off the rails a little bit, and the different reactions of her friends around her, and it's a bit of a character study, of course, of her, more than anyone else. So I would say she is the main character in there, but it feels very creative, and it feels like it was constantly keeping me very engrossed the entire time. Like, it was a very, very well directed and written movie where I was constantly on the edge of my seat just for basic conversations. There's not an action scene in sight, but you're on the edge of your seat waiting for the reaction, or the knife, the cutting the tension with the knife kind of feeling that you'd have at any moment. And there's definitely a couple of uncomfortable moments where you realize that something's kind of awkward because someone's acting kind of weird in a public setting or something, and you're like, oh god, this is cringy. But it would do a really good job of like releasing that tension with a good laugh or something. Not that I would call it a comedy. I would still definitely say it's a drama, no pun intended, again, first and foremost, but it is darkly very funny at points. A couple of specific scenes really got big laughs out of me. So, very, very, very good. Like, out of the two movies, the drama's the better movie, right? If you're a lover of cinema and like inventive, well-written scripts that really play with the idea that they introduce, the drama is the more interesting, unique film compared to Spider-Man, which, while very good, is just another superhero movie, ultimately. It's a crowd-pleasing blockbuster. The drama is, like I say, provocative. It feels like it's making you think about a subject in a way that you wouldn't normally think about it, and it makes you think about it from different perspectives and how you would react to certain things, and sort of gets you to analyze the characters in the film and how they're reacting to it, and who are you siding with, and who do you think is acting out of line, who do you think is reacting appropriately. And because of that, it was constantly engaging. I was constantly feeling every single shred of conflict that was coming up, and the underlying feelings that people were having was making every scene riveting, despite the fact that, yeah, it is just characters meeting up for lunches or having debates in their apartments or at like a rehearsal dinner or whatever it is. So yeah, no, it's good. Honestly, the only ding that I would really give it, if any, is that maybe the ending is like the weakest part of it. And it's not that it's a bad ending by any stretch. It's just that I was thinking, oh, how are they going to end this? Like, what's the satisfying ending to this? And I think they do an okay job, but it almost does feel like there wasn't necessarily like a dynamite idea of like how you wrap this up in like it feels like all the main points of the movie have been made, so there's not some final crescendo to like the real lesson at the end. It feels like, no, we've already like explored everything and we just have to kind of wrap it up. So the ending feels like the least or the lesser exciting part of the story, and that's okay. Obviously, ideally, you'd go out with a bang, as it were, but like it's, it in no way drags the rest of the movie down, but it just isn't the most exciting part, and that's fine. But if I'm looking for something to critique, I would say it's that. But like, I think it's definitely in that 8.5 territory. Like, I don't think it's quite getting to the 9. Maybe on repeat viewings, I might get up there. It's certainly like an 8.5. I thought it was great. Drama's a great movie. It's up high. It's in my top 5 of the year as of right now. But of course, plenty of the year left to go. And typically, I'm not ready to do any sort of top list until like March or April of the following year, because I'm catching up on stuff that came out late or didn't come out in the UK yet, and so on and so on. But that's my feelings on it at the moment. So the drama, extremely good. I would recommend it. So yeah. Yeah, the interesting pair of movies, which obviously share an actor, and that's about the only thing that they share. Well, they're both set in New York. I guess they have that. Yeah, it was weird in the drama when people started yelling about how they love Spider-Man. That was a bit strange. But no, yeah, watched a couple of good movies, which was nice. Like, because I don't always get to say that. Sometimes I've watched complete, sludge, and that's fine. In fact, arguably the shows, the movies that I was watching for shows over the last couple of weeks have largely been bad. So it was nice to watch a couple of decent things for a change, just to pick up my spirits a little bit. But yeah, there you go. I like I say, Fuzz Thoughts was kind of like just away for a while because I wasn't watching any extra movies. So I don't know if I'm back in movie watching mood yet, or if this is just kind of like, I happen to watch a couple. So hey, here you go. But yeah, thank you for joining me. I do appreciate it. Of course, you can support everything over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. Check out the movie podcast. This is like a little extra thing I do, is me just talking about movies on my own. The three movie podcasts are the main events. Some interesting stuff going on there. Submarine season over in Collector's Cut, primarily right now, so that's fun. But yeah, thanks very much for joining me. I do appreciate it. Keep watching movies, and if you can get it, it's always nice to have a diplomatic immunity.